Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vito Africa Show. I'm your host, Emmanuel Gona, and today we are going to talk matters climate change. And we are privileged to be joined by a global climate activist. Let us hear from him. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for this chance, and thank you for having me in this podcast. I know I've pronounced it right this time around. Okay. My name is Kelly Roberts Banda, global climate activist, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and also a Pan-African climate activist. Also, talking about climate change as a subject. Climate change is wide, so it depends with what are we looking at in climate change. Because with climate change, we're going to look at the finance aspect of it. We are going to look at the adaptation part of it. We are going to look at the mitigation aspect of it. We are going to look at the loss and damage. We are going to look at art and climate change.
Great. So I think for the introduction bit, maybe I would ask you a question. You've just said that you are an advocate
Of the High Court of Kenya.
and a global climate activist.
Yes.
Before I ask you how best you are actually practicing the two at the same time, I know climate change has been a cry all over. But I think to start with, we need to actually explain to people out there, because people have been hearing climate change all throughout. But what exactly is this climate change for the people who are out there, just in layman language? What is this climate change?
In layman language, let me put it in Swahili. Climate change ni mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. It's what we see every day. What does the weather say? It's sunny, it's windy, it's hot, there's drought, it's rainy. That is climate change. So it's the temperatures zikiwa juu, temperatures zikienda chini, all that, we call that climate change, because it's brought by the changes that are affecting our climate scenario.
So lucky enough, today we also have some other guests that are seated around us here. And just in case you have any question on climate change, make sure you raise that a question before maybe Kelly leaves this bench. So now, talking about climate change, of late we've been hearing of drought. And specifically Kilifi County, it has been affected very much. And we know that people are now crying out there. Like 2 days ago, there was a video that was actually going viral of a lady in Magarini sub-county crying out that they are dying of hunger. Is that thing related in any way with this climate change that we are talking right now?
Of course, it's related. I think I saw the video, and I shared it with one of our platforms at the national level, and I was trying to tell them, my county people or my people are dying. What could you do? Can we have something we can do for these people? Because these are my people, and I should not be at a national platform, and my people are dying. So why don't you do something? Actually, I was in tears looking at the elderly lady crying with a baby at the back, saying that we are going to die. We are dying because of hunger, because there's no water. So all this is brought by climate change. It's too dry. The sun is so hot. And you could imagine, we've gone for almost four years right now, if I'm precise, 4 years without rain. So what are we going to feed on? We don't have any systems towards a good agricultural production in the county. I wished the Galana Kulalu will be working. These people could be at, we wouldn't have this kind of risk where people are dying, because it was a food hub. And with that, I thought it would have supplied food to these people. But right now, the Galana Kulalu is no more. It's dry. Whatever happened. Whether money was squandered or not, that is none of our business. But right now, what are we looking at? Climate change. We're looking at the drought that is taking place. We're looking at animals dying every minute. We are looking at people, human beings dying because of climate change, because of the drought that is going on. And you know, one thing that is so amazing, or something that I don't understand really, is this, what is happening. It's not about us. It's not us who caused it. It's the West. And right now we are supposed to be given around 100 billion that is supposed to come from the West, that was promised in 2019 at the COPs. Until today, we've not received that money. And that is the money that was supposed to take place, to take part in terms of loss and damage. The climate finance that I'm talking about. They're supposed to finance the African countries. Right now, look at Nigeria. Nigeria is flooding. Yeah, Nigeria is flooding. But us here, there is drought. You see that change of events, what is happening. It's not our own cost. It's a cost of the West, because they are the highest polluters. We only pollute around. We only release a third of the pollution that is taking place in the whole world. So right now, the West should take charge in terms of in terms of paying the African countries, so that they can do adaptation and mitigation of what is going on in climate change, apparently. With that, we're also looking at the COPs that is coming in 2017. What is 2022? Yes, the COP that is going to take place in Egypt. This time round, we want them to not only speak. We don't want promises. We want them to give us the funding, because the African countries are suffering. And this is shown well with what is going on, like in Kilifi, Magarini. Look at Kajiado. Look at Turukana. All these counties are going through this hell.
Now, I think that's where now the interesting part comes in, because you've just mentioned of the COP27, popularly known as African COP. Now that it is happening again in Africa. Most of us normally hear of such terms, and probably we do not again understand, because I want us to relate direct to what people are facing out there. So you've just mentioned of COP, and probably some people out there do not understand what this COP is. You've also mentioned on mitigation and adaptation. Could you kindly just briefly explain the three terms now that you've already mentioned?
Okay, with COP means corporate of parties. These are countries that are coming together, that have come together in the world to come and talk or discuss issues, climate change, on the effects and how they can curb climate change in these countries. And that is why every year there is what we call COPs, where all these countries meet and deliberate on issues climate change. Yes, and this year it's going to happen in El Sheikh, that is in Egypt.
Probably you'll be representing some of us who won't get an opportunity.
I'm very positive. I should be leaving probably next week for Egypt.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now
and then adaptation. You said adaptation. Adaptation is whereby we want to relate, or we want to adopt by the situation. We want to go by the situation, because the situation of let's say the situation that is going on hunger. What can we do so that we can still live with that hunger that is going on? What other things that can we do so that we can be that the hunger cannot affect us? So we need to adopt to the situation that is on the ground. By adopting, what do I mean? By having a relative activity that we can do so that the hunger cannot affect us. Now that there is hunger, why don't we have kitchen gardening, whereby you can just have water and then do some kitchen garden and then do some irrigation to these plants, because there's no rain. We are adopting. Mitigation. To mitigate is to look at an alternative. Yeah, an alternative means on how we can handle the situation at hand. Also, in terms of it's not raining. Yeah. So what can we do in terms of making sure that does not also affect us? So to mitigate the situation that is on the ground, meaning we want to do something that is going to in line with what is going on, so that we will not be directly affected.
Thank you. Now, before we talk about this climate finance bit, just briefly again, and the COP27, which you said you'll be attending, do you still believe that we can do something just as common mwananchi down here? Can we do something just before we receive anything from the global north? I understand that 68%, approximately 68% of the pollution is from the global north. Yeah, that is a fact. But the fact that, again, we are the ones who are mostly affected, that simply means we are supposed to do something. Is this thing, can we do it right now? Or is it a must that we should get the finance first?
It all starts with us. You know, when you want to do something, it's your mentality. Are you ready to do it? And do you know the know-how on how you are going to do it? Because looking at the situation right now, why are we cutting trees for charcoal? Yet you're being told not to cut trees for charcoal, because trees are attractors of rain. So I'm looking at my place like in Ganze, whereby people are just cutting down trees just for purpose of, okay, it's their economical activity. But again, it's affecting them. They're the same people who are now dying. Why? They cut trees for charcoal, you know? And that was very bad. I wish there was something that could be done in that area right now. But also, I had a project some times back, and I was paying people to plant trees. You know, I give you trees, you plant them, then I pay you. So it went ahead, but again, there was no water. That is the limitation of that area. There was no water to make sure that this tree, you know, it's not a matter of planting, it's a matter of growing the tree. So from that, the project didn't go further. But yes, it all starts with us. If we make our minds and say we are not going to do this because of this, then we can do it. So it will start with us. How do we tame climate change? You know, how do we tame drought? You know, why don't we not cut trees? You know, why don't we look at other means of survival than charcoal, you know? So it will always start with us. So if we have that positivity and we have the know-how, then yes, we can do it.
Great. I think now I'm also interested now in the finance part, because sometimes back we had visited the farthest end of Kilifi in Magarini sub-county, a place known as Bofu, and you realize that people are really suffering, and there is nothing like a source of water, because they were using the water pans which are now drying up. So now thinking of helping such a community, it simply means that we need to have finance, because if at all they are to get water, I think you'll agree with me that water becomes core in that case, because if we are to produce food, we still need water. If we are to plant the trees as you have mentioned, we need water. Yet we do not have any source of water. So now that simply means we need to have a source of finance somewhere, so that we can probably come up maybe with drill some boreholes, or do anything, but at least we come up with the water sources which will help them maybe practice the agriculture or anything else that can help us. So now, how are we going to go about the finance bit? Because I want to understand that the counties and also the national government, probably there is a kitty somewhere, finance for the climate matters. Kindly share with us what you understand on this.
I think what is happening with our county is that priorities, because these are something that should have been done long time ago. The whole hula baloo is just being brought about by whoever is in government, and what is his priority. Who is the governor? What is his priorities? If his priorities are water, then he can facilitate water. Because in each financial year, there is always money to facilitate some of these activities or projects. So he can take a year, like let's say 2022, 2023 financial year, to say that this money is going to come, and when it comes, we're going to have maybe 55 billion of 20 billion that is just going to go to issues project water in such an area and such an area. So it depends with what is our priority, as a government. What is a priority as a county government? Because that lies now with the county government. The national government will give its money as usual. But again, when it reaches here, this is where now they'll divide it into small segments, whereby one will go to agriculture, one will go to what and what and what, until that time when you'll find out that we can't some departments don't even have enough money. Why? Because the key priorities. What are the key priority areas? In Kilifi, they mostly put priority areas probably in health or something. But again, apart from health, what other priorities do they have? I think the current governor should now look at priorities in terms of these people, the water project that is supposed to take place. Plus, the World Bank also gives finances towards such projects. Why don't they request like World Bank to give them finances to do boreholes? Kilifi County is the main source of water. We supply water to Mombasa, and that water comes from that same area that you're talking about. What is so hard for them to just divert some of that water into the residential areas of these people? So it's all about the leadership and the priorities of these leaders.
I think it's too unfortunate that our governments are not looking into it. And my worry again is the finance that we are talking about, the one that we are going to demand in the upcoming COP. So as you are planning to respond to the climate finance and how best it can be used down here from the COP, assuming that the billions that you've mentioned are now brought down to the ground, who again is going to look into that matter? Because if it will be falling on the county governments, probably we are going to experience the same thing. I can see a question from one of the participants who are here. Let us hear from them, then we continue.
Okay, thank you for the chance. I'm Madaraka. So my question maybe is, we have talked about hunger in Kilifi, in Ganze, in Magarini. Previously, it is not the first time. It is almost every year there's hunger. So as climate justice people, what have you done, or have you gone in that area and assessed what is going on, or what have you put into practice? And lately, we have seen some baobab trees being cut in an area at Chakama there. So what have you done so as to stop this?
So let me start with the baobabs. It came to my attention, I think, this week. I got that note that baobabs are being cut down, and I had to call NEMA. I had to call the county government. I even did a tweet to the governor. Actually, on my phone, I wish I had my phone here. You could see I did a message directly to the governor himself to tell him something is happening under your nose, and you're not working. What is happening? Why are you cutting trees? Yes, right now we are trying to advocate to plant trees, and that is the same that's the same reason why people are dying of hunger, because we can't attract what? We can't attract rainfall. Look at a place like Chonyi. They harvested. There's no hunger. Look at even in Kilifi itself. Some part of Kilifi people are harvesting maize. Yeah, but why is it that Ganze, Magarini, we don't have rain? Because there's almost semi-deserts. So right now, when somebody is cutting baobab trees, and baobabs are one of the greatest trees that we have, it takes about 27. Is it 27 years? These trees are trees that are indigenous. We should take care of them. So I did a follow up. I called NEMA. NEMA said they don't know who gave out the permit to cut those trees, and actually some intake from somewhere. I won't say where. Some intake from somewhere say that even the county government did not know who gave out the permit. So there is something that going on within the county government and the office of NEMA, of which I was away, but right now I'm back. I think from tomorrow, not tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow is Monday. From tomorrow, I should be visiting NEMA offices to demand to know how, because I wanted to do a demonstration actually to go and stop them. But I thought of now mobilizing youth together and doing a demonstration. I don't want to put anybody at risk. So that is why I avoided demonstration. But it was all over all the CSOs networks. within Kilifi. And I also talked about, I'd also alerted the Ministry of Environment. I alerted some other CSOs out of Kilifi to come and help us stop this. The issue why the Bamba, Ganze, Magarini are going through this, and where we are activists and there's nothing you've done, is because anything that you do, there is always let me say a catch to it. Yeah, let me put it like that. There is always a catch to it, because when I had a project with Ganze to do tree planting, I did it as an organization. I came up with an organization that did that supported to do that. But there was no support from the county government. And yet, it's under the county government. So I'm just doing it as an individual. But again, I need support. If you don't get that support from the county government, will you do a project? Well, you can't continue with it, because at the end of the day, you are helping them. It's not you. You are helping the people from that county. You're helping the people from that sub-county. If the MP by then was not even interested in knowing how many trees we planted or where we're going to plant these trees, some of these activities, when you do them, the donor is on watch. Who are you involving? And who are reciprocating well and who are not? So when I saw it was, they were giving me their back, so I decided, okay, let me leave this whole thing. But yes, I did something, and I've been working with a few people in Ganze. It worked, though not that much. I can't say that anything that happened, but right now, because of the 4 years again, it's down. Ganze, I don't know what Ganze needs, reforestation or what. I don't know what Ganze people. But one thing I know is Ganze, they need an economical activity apart from charcoal, because right now they're only shrubs that are remaining, and even those shrubs, they're now cutting them for wood, for firewood in their own homes. So what will happen to Ganze?
Let's hope that the president's directive that people should plant at least, is it 400 trees, will work. Because again, I think some other things probably we will be lacking the goodwill, especially when it trickles down to the county governments. Now let us look at the finance bit. We've said that currently there is a percentage that is allocated for climate at the county levels, but it is a very low percentage. That is one, and the little that actually is placed for climate matters is actually misappropriated, if I may put it that way. Now, when we get the funds out of the COP that we are actually approaching in November, how best or how sure are we that this finance will actually help us in any way?
That's a big debate. It's a big debate, not only here, not only Africa. It's a big debate even at the COP itself. Because one thing, Africans known for misappropriation of funds. So the biggest question is, if this money comes down, even up there, they're like, will they use this money appropriately? Yeah, will they handle this money with the measures that is needed? So it's a big debate, Emmanuel. And what I feel is that we have financial institution that I think are key. Let's look at the FLOCA. The FLOCA money is in institutions and is being given by the national government. And this money, for counties to get it, they have a structure that they are supposed to put in place for them to take it. And these instructions or these structures, you have to fulfill all these instructions so that you can get this funding. Meaning they have a way that this funding is supposed to be used for you to use it. Let's say, give an example of Kilifi. They were looking at first of all, they had to have a climate act, of which right now the Climate Change Act of Kilifi, that is 2021 Act, we want to review it, because what happened to the act is that instead of the county assembly putting a 2% or 1.5%, they gave us a 0.5%, of which a 0.5% will do nothing in terms of curbing climate change in Kilifi. And right, I'm very grateful that at least they saw the need of having a climate change office or docket Yeah. So through the director of climate change, who is my good friend, we are trying to see how we can look at that document and also review it so that they can be allocated at least the 1.5 so that they can get good money from FLOCA. So when you get that money from FLOCA money comes in for you to do local activities, yeah, CLAs. So local climate change actions. Yeah. So these local climate change actions, they are activities that are being done locally at the local level with the local mwananchi so that they can survive in terms of issues climate change, like now issues of drought, like now planting of trees, looking at those things. So if this money comes down, then it trickles down, then I think the people are going to have. But again, even those groups that are going to be given this money to use, are they in a capacity to handle this money? It doesn't, it also depends with us. We are given this money, then you'll hear the group treasurer has moved from Watamu. He's now living in Unyali. Yes. So there are these issues that we need to have them in place so that even the county government, if they're giving out these monies to local groups to do local activities on climate change, the local groups can also be how do I put it? They also can account. They also can account for this money. But if you don't have accounting system for these monies, then they're going to go to loss.
I think that was very, very informative. And as I can see, I think time is not on our side, and we might be forced to end the session any time from now. But just before maybe we come to an end of this session, what do you think? Are we ending this drought issues soon? Are we sure that the climate justice or rather climate action now, is this thing working? Are we how are you seeing the future?
It's all about politics. Climate change has now come into politics, and what I can say is that from even the COP itself, it's all politics. So it will depend with how we put it. Climate change is not going to end today or tomorrow. It will take time. But with that time that it's going to take, how are we positioning ourselves? Ask yourself that.
So before I ask myself that one, maybe you should help us, mostly the people out there. Because you see, most of the people who are actually now facing the hunger or the droughts are looking at the other people like you, Kelly Roberts Banda. And if they see you, they see the future. They are seeing a transformation from the deserts that they are living into gardens. So are you trying to insinuate that they should not think of that?
It's not something that will be done within a wink of an eye. So it will take time. The way they took time making sure that they've cut the trees to where it is, it will also take time to plant those trees to a situation where they'll feel now we are capable of now surviving drought. So it takes time, because a tree will not mature in one day, or a tree will not plant it today and tomorrow you feel like you can get a shed. Yeah, it will take time. So that time that is going to take, we don't know how long it's going to take. But one thing I know is we need to do. Right now, we are looking only at adaptation and mitigation. The two aspects, the adaptation and mitigation. And if you get the climate finance now, it will enable generate projects that are climate friendly. So that will enable people to survive.
I think I'll call that the bitter truth. And as much as we're supposed to look at it, we need to act as soon as now. And it begins with me, it begins with you. There's no one that will come just from nowhere to help you. You should actually take your own responsibility, own it, because it is affecting each and every one of us. So we've been having Kelly Roberts Banda. Before we actually allow him to maybe walk out of the session, if there is any question, kindly, you are requested to raise it. And if there is no other question, then we'll let Kelly at least tell us, or rather share his contact, so that we can be in a position to get him at any given time so that we can interact more. I can see a question from a brother here. Welcome.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Kelly. The problem of Ganze will soon become a problem in our town too. Why? Because I myself have not heard about climate justice until lately this year. That is when I heard about climate justice. So that means the problem that is happening in Ganze, it is also happening here because we don't have the information. So I think we should do some. Maybe it was not a question, but I think we should do something there.
Thank you, brother, for that. I think right now we have a platform that is it's under a national platform, and very soon it's going to be one of the global platforms. It's called KCCGP, Kilifi Climate Change and Governance Platform. This platform is open for all the groups because we want to do awareness, and this platform, the people that are in this platform should come from the different groups, from different sub counties, from different villages, from different quarters, so that they form this platform, and through them is when this dissemination of this information is going to go out. So like all of us who are seated here, you could imagine when you go and sit with your brother or your family, tell them about climate change. They'll also go and say the same to somewhere else and share out. So one thing I believe is leaving no one behind. Climate change, climate justice needs to involve everybody. Yeah, no matter the age, because we are all affected. No matter the age or no matter where you are, we are all affected. So if you feel you're not affected right now, you are going to be affected in a few. So let us all be part and parcel of this disseminating of this information that climate change is real and it takes you and me to stop it. Thank you.
I think that was a nice parting shot. You can now share with us your contacts where we can get you so that we can continue with these interactions more and more.
Yes, you can get me on Twitter so much at Banda Roberts. Then you can get me on my line 0735968066. That's my number.
I think you should repeat that.
Okay, 073596. Did I say 96? 8066. That's my number. So you can call me anytime.
So thank you very much. That was Kelly Roberts Banda and a global climate activist. I think we've had not enough, but at least a great session with him. And as he has promised, he will always be there. You can always contact him through the hotline that he has just shared and the Twitter account. I know he's a very active trip. So let us continue interacting and let us also try and learn much on the climate justice issues so that we can be in a position to help our community and of course we'll be helping ourselves. Until next time, this is the Vito